The Winnipeg Blue Bombers got exactly what they wanted. They got a win. Was it important to get that win? Not entirely, but I think going into the postseason, kind of the 500 year the Blue Bombers have had, they do finish with 10 wins this season, 10-8, and above 500 once again. But ultimately, I don't think Winnipeg really cared whether they played the West semifinal, whether that would have been in Calgary or otherwise, or if they crossed over to the East and played in Hamilton or played in Montreal. The BC Lions now will determine whether they win, tie, or lose later tonight. The Blue Bombers will cross over to the East or stay in the West. Welcome inside Game Day After Dark, everybody. This is your live Blue Bombers postgame show here on Bonfire Sports. Great to see everybody in the live chat. Lots to get to on the show today, of course. Our postgame friend, Schnitzy, Zach Schnitzer, will join us momentarily. He's on his way back from the game. We'll look at some of the highlights of the game tonight, some of the lowlights. We'll talk about Chris Streveler. We will talk about Terry Wilson. And I think maybe most importantly, as you guys saw in the YouTube thumbnail and the way we're kind of laying things out here, we are going to talk about this. We're going to talk about the playoffs. This is kind of a very early Grey Cup playoff preview for the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. I also want to talk about the CFL awards, the Blue Bombers award winners, those who got snubbed, my ballot, as I was honored to vote once again this year, as Schnitzy texts me, says he'll be along in about 10 or 15 minutes. So that is good. But hey, we've got all of you here in the live chat, and I'm happy to keep things afloat until Schnitzy joins us. Talk about those awards. But let's talk about what's at play here. Later today, the BC Lions are in Regina to play the West Division champion Saskatchewan Roughriders, regular season champion. They won the West. They've got home field advantage, best record in the CFL in 2025. If BC wins or ties, and I hope I have this right, if BC wins or ties, Calgary will host BC next Saturday in the West Division semifinal. And Winnipeg will cross over and play in Montreal in the East Division semifinal. The winners of those games will then move on to Saskatchewan and Hamilton, respectively, for the East and West finals. And then the 112th Grey Cup. 3 weeks away, 22 days from today, being Saturday, October 25th. That game, of course, right here in Winnipeg at the Madhouse on Matheson, Princess Auto Stadium. I can't wait for that one. And Bonfire Sports, we're going to be everywhere all week long from when the Grey Cup officially arrives on the Sunday through Monday and the team arrivals, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, the CFL awards, Friday, Grey Cup Saturday, and then, of course, the game on Sunday. And we'll get pregame and postgame coverage here with Chris Walby, with Zach Schnitzer, and everybody as we go along. Hey, Phyllis, here we go. Great to see everybody in the live chat. Tarps off, says Jeff Cabillas. Awesome to see everybody in the live chat. Robert Campbell, LV for Las Vegas, watching live from Nevada. What's going on, Rob? Heartbreaking to see Chris Streveler in tears on the sidelines. He's had a hell of a run, no doubt about that. Absolutely heartbreaking to see Chris Streveler go down. And, you know, we'll be talking about this lots through the next week for sure, as Streveler was seen leaving the field. Here we go. It took him about 10 minutes to walk from the Blue Bombers sideline to the locker room. And there he is with one of the team doctors. And heartbreaking, absolutely heartbreaking to see that, because I wonder, and, you know, I'm speculating right now, is this the last we've seen of Chris Streveler in a Winnipeg Blue Bombers uniform? Possibly. For those of you that missed it, let's take a look at the injury. And the reason it just didn't look good is because it was a non-contact play. His left knee right there. And we'll get another look at it on the replay. Happening very early in the game. And you can see him nodding there. Concern from teammate, good friend, Zach Schnitzer. And it's brutal to see this. This guy leaves it all out on the field. Every single play. Watch closely as he rolls to his left. Watch the left knee. Right there. This is a non-contact injury, and I think that's why it's maybe most concerning. Right there. And you can see he pulls that leg up immediately, well before contact with 𝘎𝙥𝙤𝙧𝙯. But he could not put much, if any, weight at all on that left leg. Enter Terry Wilson, who looks to be the number 2 going into the postseason for the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. Hate seeing it. Absolutely hate seeing it. Of course, Schnitzy and I will get into our Wallabies Warrior, Westward Wide to the Right, our Bonfire Burning Point, Happy Honker, and our game balls. But I'll say it right now. Chris Streveler gets my Wallabies Warrior. Just absolutely, absolutely someone that just puts it on the line every single time he steps on the field. It's a huge reason why the Blue Bombers continue to go to him as the number 2. And, you know, I would love to hear from you guys in the live chat. What did you think of Terry Wilson and his game today? Winnipeg, what we saw from Terry Wilson is a little bit of good and a little bit of bad. Let's take a look at the numbers as we have the offensive numbers here on the screen. Terry Wilson finished 11 of 21, 53%, 52%, 79 yards, interception, no touchdowns, quarterback efficiency rating, 41.6. Here's the thing. The reason I say some good and some bad is that I remember the opening drive and it was just like, wow, nice footballs, delivering the ball, looking crisp, looking sharp. He can deliver the ball, but he threw a lot of interception-worthy footballs as well, as we see his NCAA career profile there from TSN, which really doesn't mean much when it comes to the pros. Some guys that have done, just haven't been able to get it done at the pro level have been Heisman Trophy candidates, conference record breakers. But watching Terry Wilson on his first possession here, this was an incompletion. I think he was, well, that's definitely not the play I wanted. Forgive me. But that's kind of what we saw in this game today. It was a lot of nothing. But Terry Wilson, is he going to, is he going to be somebody that Winnipeg is going to be able to win with if they need to go to him? I don't think so. I don't think he's somebody that Winnipeg could lean on. But of course, they're sure not hoping for that. They're hoping that Zach Schnitzer can stay healthy and the Blue Bombers can make a run in the postseason. Let's cut right to it. Okay. So we see the interception there from All-Canadian, All-CFLer, Marc-Antoine Dequoy, that safety, every single year. Incredible player. The reason I still see Winnipeg as a contender for a Grey Cup in 2025 to win the semifinal, the division final, and the Grey Cup is because they have the experience. They are now rested. I don't know if Nick Dembski is going to be back and healthy in time for this coming week, wherever that game may be, whether it's in Calgary, whether it's in Montreal. But Winnipeg is going to be resting a ton of guys today. James Vaughters, Willie Jefferson, must in his second game since he became a Bomber in 2019. Resting Brady Oliveira, Stanley Bryant, Zach Collaros, of course. Being rested, being experienced, knowing what it takes in the playoffs, knowing what it takes to win on the road, knowing what it takes to win in the postseason, knowing how to game plan for a do or die game, I think helps Winnipeg a lot. I don't think Winnipeg gave a damn who they played in the first round of the playoffs. I don't think they cared if they go to the West or go to the East. I think a lot of fans, like myself, if I had to choose the easiest path, and if you said that to Mike O'Shea, he'd be like, we don't want the easiest path. We want the path that we are going to take. That's, he'd say something along those lines. But if they were going to take the most straightforward path to the Grey Cup, I think they would want to go through the East. And there's two teams in the West that scare me, and there's one team in the East that scares me. Okay? The team in the East that scares me is the Montreal Alouettes. Believe me when I say this. And I had a comment earlier. I'm going to pull this up. Matt, watching live on YouTube. What's going on, Matt? Nice profile pic, by the way. What a game, Matt says. Montreal has no answers to our defense, the Bombers' defense. Keep in mind, there's no way Montreal's offense under McLeod Bethel Thompson is going to look anything like it will next week with Davis Alexander back under center. Davis Alexander and the Alouettes scare the bejesus out of me. I think they are the Grey Cup favorite. Preseason, I picked Saskatchewan to beat Montreal in the Grey Cup. I know. I'm a Winnipegger, tried and true my whole life. Grew up playing football and hockey in this city. And I picked Saskatchewan to win the Grey Cup in Winnipeg. I did. I'm sorry. But I hate to tell you I was right, at least who the favorites are. But Montreal scares me with the way they're playing lately. Don't let today think it's any indication of how they're going to play, next week and in the playoffs. But the two teams that scare me in the West are Saskatchewan and BC. Calgary, I'll give them their respect, but they don't scare me as much as Nathan Rourke does. And the Saskatchewan Roughriders, they're the most complete team in the CFL right now. So the reason I say the most straightforward, frictionless path or less friction path for the Blue Bombers is to go through the East, let Nathan Rourke and the BC Lions and the Saskatchewan Roughriders, let one of those two teams beat the other. Okay. And maybe it'll be Calgary, who knows? But that's how I see it. So for Winnipeg, resting their starters made sense. If they lost this game, fair enough. And I should say, well, Stephen Ayers, you nailed it. Now the real season starts. Amen to that. Kim, good to see you, old friend. Greetings. How are you? Great to see everybody in the live chat. I'm not going to be able to keep up with all these. I'll do my best. But I have to set aside a second here to say something important because I failed to mention it on the pregame show with Chris Walby. That's on me. Huge congratulations to you, the Blue Bombers fans, for selling out, showing up, and selling out the entire 2025 season. And a huge congratulations to the Winnipeg Blue Bombers, organization from top to bottom. First class the whole way. Okay. There's football ops and what they've been able to do with this team making 5 straight Grey Cup appearances, breaking a 29-year Grey Cup drought, all of that. Okay. They're a competitive team every single time they step on the field. Couldn't have said that 7-8 years ago, 9-10 years ago, when Wade Miller, Kyle Walters, Mike O'Shea took over. 10 years ago now. Gosh, 11. Anyway. Huge congratulations to the Blue Bombers organization. Football ops aside. Football ops, definitely. But football ops aside, I don't know many people in the sales department, fan services. Carol Barrett got her flowers today, figuratively and literally, awarded for her outstanding service to fans. She's a huge reason why the Bombers are such a successful organization and the standard for the Canadian Football League. And while I don't know a lot of people in that department, the sales department, the fan services, that sort of thing, I know Carol well, absolute sweetheart. She deserves it. I love the tweet Jeff Hamilton sent out earlier with a picture of Carol saying, start the blueprint for the statue outside the stadium for Carol, which is awesome. But the Blue Bombers digital media team, there's too many to name all of them. The marketing department, Rayanne Marcoux, Ed Tate, my guy Ryland, Dick, Smart is a photographer. There's literally too many to name. Huge congratulations to you all. Rayanne Marcoux has been with the organization a long time. One of the senior directors of marketing and branding and that sort of thing. She tweeted last night or the night before that they set a goal in 2014 and they reached that goal yesterday when they sold out their final home game of the season. Imagine setting a goal in 2014 where the Blue Bombers organization was on the field, off the field, everything. Okay. Huge debt, a stadium that everybody said was too big, football product that was not very good at all. And to set a goal of selling out every single game in the regular season and to do it in a decade. Huge congratulations to the Blue Bombers organization. Outstanding. Wade Miller, everybody, top down. And no, Jeff, that is not true. Absolutely not. I just call them like I see them. And I'm doing that right now with the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. This organization, Bombers fans should be proud. It is first class, top to bottom. Incredible job. Congratulations to you all. I'm honored to continue to cover this team, be a guest of the team at practice and at games and other events in order to cover the team and things going on. So thank you to the Blue Bombers organization. Couldn't ask for a better team to work with. Darren Cameron and everybody in football ops to the other side. Huge congratulations. Just incredible. Like, think about it. They sold out. This team was 500 all season, and they sold out every single game. It's nuts. Incredible. Friesen continuing his troll job. Absolutely. Calling Roddy every week for sure. Anyway, I digress on that. The Bombers now will try to make their fan base proud and win in the playoffs. There is a path to a championship, but it's going to take a few things. And Schnitzy just sending me a note. He's going to join us in a second. Get his perspective from in the stands at the game. The path the Bombers need to take for the postseason, like, some things need to happen. This is what needs to happen. The offensive line needs to play their best football. And that's probably saying they haven't played their best football yet. Best football, what does that mean? Is it a little cliche? Yeah, it doesn't really mean much as far as, something concrete. They need to play better. They need to find a way to play their best football in the playoffs. Zach Schnitzer needs to play responsible, smart, and dangerous football. And by dangerous, I mean responsible and smart, but also not being afraid to take risks and make those difficult decisions and those difficult throws and throw them into tight windows. He has to play his best football that he has this year. Winnipeg's O-line, Winnipeg's quarterbacking, Winnipeg's play calling, that also needs to be a lot better. Jason Hogan needs to craft a great game plan, figure out a way to beat, I think it'll be the Montreal Alouettes, but maybe it's the Calgary Stampeders. Figure out a way to beat them. And then the O-line, Collaros, Oliveira, all the receivers, everybody else. Offensively, that is where they need to play sharp, smart football. I think Winnipeg's defense has shown that they can play at a championship level consistently week in and week out. I wholeheartedly believe that. Winnipeg's offense, I'm nowhere near convinced. But I'm also not completely convinced that they're not capable of it. They absolutely are. Blue and Goldens worry about relying on Jason Hogan to craft a great game plan. No doubt. No doubt. People, I won't blame anybody right now if they don't have faith in Jason Hogan and the Blue Bombers' offensive game planning, offensive play calling. Jeff Hamilton was outspoken this week, in his show on WST and in his writing, that the Blue Bombers, to a man, in the words of Jeff, the confidence isn't there. There's a malignment in the play calling, play design, game planning, and execution. It's not good enough. And when there's some malignment within the football team, when it comes to Schnitzy, I didn't even see you there, buddy. When there's a malignment within the room, huge concern of what Winnipeg is going to be able to do offensively going into the playoffs. Schnitzy, how are you, man? Welcome inside. You got the chain on. The Bombers come away with a win. We've been talking a little bit about the postseason path the Blue Bombers will take, but a 19-10 win. Let's start with your experience and what you saw before we get into all the other stuff. I've kind of teed everything up, and we'll talk about awards and playoff scenarios and Streveler and Terry Wilson and all that. But the atmosphere, 14 straight sellouts, all 10 home games the Blue Bombers played this year, if you include the preseason, sold out. Paint the picture for us, my friend.
I actually got to tell you, Darrin, and everybody in chat, welcome in. Nice to see you all. The atmosphere was pretty dang good. Like for basically a preseason game, it was pretty good. Actually, I would even say it rivaled at times the Banjo Bowl, which is crazy to say, Darrin.
Wow.
But actually, this year's Banjo Bowl was I don't know if it was the Bombers' play or the number of picks Zach threw, but it was kind of muted. But this game was tons of fun, and my son got a little squirrely. I took my 5-year-old. He got a little squirrely by the end of the third quarter,
I
and he
bet you a
wanted
lot
to
of fans
walk
were a little
around.
squirrely by the third quarter.
Everybody was squirrely. And then we went to section 140, and I wanted to show him all the guys with the tarps off, including our friend Wayne Bretsky, and Aaron was there, and Chantel, and a few others. Gregory I saw. But anyway, we went right down to the ads right by the field and watched the end of the game from field level almost, and it was tons of fun. And he just got such a kick out of the guys with the tarps off and the cheering and yelling. And one guy was telling me that I was a good dad for bringing my son to the game and coming to section 140, and he was quite hammered, so it was pretty interesting. So it was just a fun night, man. Honestly, I didn't see a whole lot of the second half because my son was like jumping on me and whatever, but that's not the point, right? Like, the point of this game was no injuries. Guys got some reps. Well, except for Streveler. We can get to that
Streveler,
one.
it looks really bad. We looked at the video.
Oh, it's horrible. I think
non-contact injury. That's rough.
Darrin, is it? I'm not a reporter, so I feel like I can say this. Like, I think his career's over. Like, I don't think we see Streveler on a field ever again.
See, and there's where, the wording I used was, will we ever see Chris Streveler in blue and gold again?
I don't think you'll see him in anything, any football, unless he goes and plays in a different country. This guy, anyway, I don't want to speculate. I don't want to. This is a guy's life. Sorry, my cat is crazy here. But like, I watched him being walked off the field with two trainers. He couldn't put any weight. I think it was his right leg. Is that right, Darrin? Was it his right? Left knee. Okay. So, and was it a non-contact?
It was. I'll pull it up.
Yeah. So
I'll pull it up here.
it's
Yeah.
not good. I feel for the guy. He's a warrior.
I gave him my Walby's Warrior right off the hop. Yeah.
Yeah. Like, oh, Livy. Okay. You're being a ham. She knows people are watching it. Yeah. I feel for Streveler. I mean, that's tough, right? And say what you will about Streveler and his lack of ability to consistently throw the football, Darrin, but he's the most experienced backup in that locker room. And he has shown the ability to do some short yardage stuff. Like it's on a human level, it's awful. Like this
Watch it, the left
guy.
leg here.
So when he's kind of cutting there, hey,
Yeah.
like this guy reconstructed his knee. Like, what did he ruptured the ACL, the MCL, the PCL, everything in that knee, and he battled back. And yeah, say what you will about his play, but this guy is a heart and soul guy. The players love him, and it's very sad to see a guy's potentially his career end like that without even getting a chance to
I hope
make
it's
some
not the end of
plays
his
in the
career,
playoffs.
but yeah.
You don't think it's the end of his career?
I
Is that
hope
what you said?
I
Yeah.
sincerely hope it's not the end of his career. It could be. That's pure speculation, of course. We'll be very clear and responsible in how we say that, but I sure hope it's not.
Yeah.
The reason I gave him my Walby's Warrior is that guy puts it out, leaves everything on the field every time he straps a helmet on, even in practice. There's a reason why Mike O'Shea is so loyal to him. There's a reason why nobody has ever said even a shadow of criticism of the type of player he is, person he is. He's so beloved on and off the field, fans, teammates, coaches alike. Chris Streveler he's a real one, as they say. He's an
Yeah.
absolute real one. So sure hope that that he's okay. Like, in the short term, I hope he's okay. I hope he's all
Yeah.
right. Yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah.
You got to feel for the person on a human level, especially at this stage in his career. Do I think the Bombers bring him back if he's healthy next year? No, I
I
don't
think
see
it's
that
time.
happening.
Yeah.
Not unless
That's
they
part of the
wanted.
conversation I'd like to get into with you today. Like, we're going to talk about the playoffs. We'll talk about what we saw today, but I want to talk about the player awards and that sort of thing, because I think there was a huge snub this year. And then also who's going to come out of the West. I think Trey Vavel's probably going to come away with a couple awards at the CFL awards that you and I will be at together, Schnitzy, here in Winnipeg. We'll talk about
Yes,
that later
sir.
too.
Yes, sir.
But I want to talk to you about how different this team may look in 2026. And quarterback is one of those huge areas, Hockey Hooligan. I just pulled this up a second ago. Would the Bombers go after Trey Ford next year? Is it Chase Artopia's time? Is Terry Wilson back next year? Is Chris Streveler back next year? Is Zach Schnitzer back next year? He's under contract. I'll just put it short. I'll put it briefly and leave it to you. Zach Schnitzer is going to be back next year, because unless Winnipeg swings a trade for some young quarterback or something, but who that is, I don't know. Does Drew Brown want to leave Ottawa now that they fired Bob Dice? And by the way, all the best to Bob Dice. Not just a Winnipegger, but a great human being, and incredibly well respected, but dismissed of his duties as head coach of the Red Blacks today.
Yes, just on Bob Dice, I'll get to your question there in a sec.
Mm-hmm.
I reposted something on Twitter today about Bob Dice from the former communications guy of the Ottawa Red Blacks and Ottawa 67s. I forget his first name, Mackey, Maki. Had nothing but great things to say about Bob Dice and how supportive he was and how much of a mentor he is. So he was in Ottawa for 9 years. He won a Grey Cup there. So as far as I know, is that right? Like, he was there for a while.
Bob
Anyway,
Dice?
good. Yeah, Bob Dice.
Yes, he was an assistant with that Grey Cup winning team.
Yeah. So anyway, Great guy. Hopefully he lands on his feet somewhere. I mean, Ottawa seems like a graveyard for coaches. Um, so what do I see next year for quarterback, Darren?
Mm.
I think Kolaris comes back. There's a reason he signed for another year. I think he still enjoys playing. Uh, I still think he has the talent to be a starting quarterback. Do I think his ceiling is as high as it used to be? No, I don't. And we don't have to get into that. Um, as for the succession plan, well, right now there really isn't one. Assuming Streveler is healthy, I can't see them bringing him back. I wouldn't want them to bring him back. Would I like him to be involved in the team some way? Yeah, like this is a beloved guy, but he's simply unless the defense and special teams are chipping in with points, he's not going to win you many games. Don't tell me about his record. There's context there. So is it Terry Wilson? Well, I don't know what you thought about Terry Wilson. I don't necessarily
Well,
see him as the future, but
when
he
Streveler got
hasn't had a
hurt,
lot
and
of game.
I
He
said
he
this kind
threw
of,
3 interceptable balls. One should have been a pick six. 2
oh,
were dropped
probably
by
even more than
DBs.
that. Yeah. No,
Yeah,
I
I
said this
mean,
kind of tongue in cheek. You know, of course, Chris Streveler's well being my number one concern, but tongue in cheek afterwards, saying, fans wanted Terry Wilson, well, you got him. And what
yeah,
did we see? It's kind of what I've seen from him in practice. Taylor Allen of the Winnipeg Free Press, who wrote a really cool piece, quoted someone I know in the Free Press this week.
yes, yes.
Yeah,
I
quoted you.
got to be in the newspaper.
You were in the newspaper, yeah. Talking about the sellout streak. But Taylor
Yeah.
Allen mentioned, like this is what Terry Wilson does. Throws some beautiful footballs, looks confident, looks sharp, and then just makes kind of a real boneheaded decision and turns the ball over, throws a pick.
Yeah.
So I could see Winnipeg having an entirely different quarterback room next year. And maybe like we'll see what Winnipeg brings in the playoffs. I think Jason Hogan is squarely on the hot seat. If he's able to cook something up in the playoffs and, turn the Blue Bombers offense into a Cinderella story, maybe he'll be back next year. But I think, Jarius Jackson is maybe the heir apparent, or I think he is the heir apparent, like in the true sense of that term, the apparent heir to that OC spot. He might say, I want a different style of quarterback. I want a veteran. I want a youth. I want this guy. I want that. He might want somebody specifically. I think Chase Artopius will be back because that's a development spot. And unless something wild happens, I think, he's probably going to be back. I think Zach Collaros will be back. But I could also see Winnipeg saying, maybe we want Trey Ford. Maybe we want, another veteran that's kind of bouncing around the league. Yeah, Sammy Garza. Who knows, right?
I I think my sense of it is Kolaris is going to come back. We won't see Streveler back, injury or otherwise. I don't think we would have seen him back anyway, Darren. I guess some of it depends on what happens at the OC position. We can talk about what it'll take for Hogan to redeem himself here. Today, I don't think you can take anything from him as a coordinator.
T Winnipeg asking, is Terry Wilson signed for next year? Here's the thing. In the CFL, it doesn't matter. Whether he's signed for next year or not, doesn't matter. If Winnipeg wants to re-sign him, they will. And if they don't want him back, they, and he is under contract for 26. If that was the case, you just cut him. He's not somebody that's getting big off-season bonuses or has some of that new guaranteed money that's in the new CBA. Zach Collaros does. So
yeah. So in terms of quarterback, I've heard rumors that Drew Brown isn't super happy in Ottawa, but he's still got another year there.
You're hearing those rumors.
Will he be back? Is he the succession plan to Collaros in 2027? Maybe, but the question is, you want Drew Brown? Like, Drew Brown threw 406 yards against the Bombers in that game back in September, where Streveler completed 3 passes, but he also threw two picks. And as Jeffrey Townend saying, our buddy here, Mr. Super Chat, keep him coming, buddy. I got to get more toys for Daphne. The guy gets hurt all the time. I mean, how many How many times has he been hurt, Darrin, as a member of the Ottawa Red Blacks?
Lots. Yeah.
3-4
Concussions,
times?
oblique
Yeah.
injuries, shoulder
Yeah.
injuries. Yeah. I think
So
shoulders.
I don't know
Yeah.
if I want a guy like that in my quarterback room. I think the success, like, best case scenario, I think the succession plan is Taylor Elgersma. They had a free pick and they took a flyer on him, knowing he could end up down south.
But he
But
ain't going to be
I
the
don't
starter.
expect.
Like, Bombers fans seem to think that Taylor Elgersma is going to be the starter next year or could be the starter
No,
next
no,
year.
no, no, no. He needs a year of seasoning at least. This is
100%.
pro football. This guy played at Laurier. He played at a high level. He won the Canadian version of the Heisman Trophy. He performed well in Green Bay, arguably better than some of his competitors. But when you're a guy from Wilfrid Laurier, you ain't making the NFL. Like Nathan Rourke didn't make the NFL, and he played in a Division One school. Am I right? Like University of Ohio.
Yeah.
Um,
Not
he's
Ohio
he's
State.
not
Yeah. Ohio. Yeah.
he's not. I don't think he's making the NFL. Uh, I think he's trying to see what
Here's the
happens
difference.
down there.
Here's the difference. Taylor Elgersma is 6'5" and built
Yeah,
like an NFL quarterback. Nathan Rourke is like 6
that's
foot
fair.
and not built like an NFL quarterback.
Is he only six? I thought he was 6'2".
If you're going to be built like Nathan Rourke, you better run like Michael Vick. You better throw like Michael Vick. And he's not as big as Michael Vick. That's just a reality of the NFL. Okay. People are like, well, he didn't get a fair shake because he's Canadian. No, he's smart. He's accurate. He's clutch. He's mobile, but he's not 6'4". He's not 6'3".
Yeah,
That's it. Taylor Elgersma is 6'5". Taylor Elgersma is going to get a longer. That's why Taylor Elgersma was cut by the Green Bay Packers, had a workout for the New York Giants. Maybe he had workouts elsewhere, but those are the ones that were reported. Yeah, waiter's saying Mike Vick only 6 foot. Yeah, he's kind
yeah.
of
I
a
mean,
freak. But
Rourke is
Taylor
6'1".
Elgersma is the reason he has not come and signed with the Blue Bombers and hung out with their practice roster. And like you got the NFL window, you can be released at any time. The Ontario Wilson scenario, right? Where he went to the NFL, the New York Jets cut him. He immediately came back and was Blue Bombers, rights, possession, whatever you call it. The reason that hasn't happened is because Taylor Elgersma is going to get another look, and just being with a CFL team is a little bit of a barrier, whether you like it or not, whether it's real or just perceived. If you are in a Canadian Football League facility and under contract, a lot of NFL teams might just be like, okay, no, we want to, but there's a window. Well, no, we're not going to go through all that. Is he on the street? Bring him in. Can he work out for us tomorrow afternoon? Let's fly him to San Diego. Let's fly him to Seattle. Boom, boom. That's why Taylor Elgersma is not with the Blue Bombers right now. He's waiting for those
and I
opportunities.
think it's smart of him, right? I mean, given his size, he's got the measurables, he's got the arm. Absolutely, you take a shot at the NFL. I mean, that's generational money in the NFL. Do I still see him ending up back in Winnipeg? Yeah, I could see that. Maybe even as soon as next year. Maybe he gets a year of seasoning behind Collaros, right? I like him. I mean, I was reading that CFL scouts saw him as a starter in the CFL as his potential. So there's a reason they drafted him. They took a flyer because they had a free pick because they played so many Canadians, and BC lost some picks in their effort to get a Grey Cup at home. So yeah, I think that's the future, but it's kind of murky and it's kind of scary right now because if Collaros goes down next week, whether it's in the West or the East semifinal, Darrin.
Yeah.
Because I believe if BC loses to Saskatchewan, Bombers go to Calgary. Is that right?
So here's
Calgary
from
won.
the CFL Grey Cup playoff scenarios email they sent out a couple days ago. Calgary win, Winnipeg win, and a BC tie. Calgary hosts BC in the Western semifinal. Winnipeg crosses over. So if BC wins or ties, they will have a better record than the Blue Bombers, and they will stay in the West. Winnipeg will cross over. Yeah.
So, but what about if BC loses?
If BC loses, Winnipeg, they will cross over, and Winnipeg will go to Calgary for the West semifinal next week. And should note for people, they have moved back. The CFL has moved back the start times for the East and West semifinal on Saturday next week in 7 days. Moved them both back 1 hour, just so there's no chance of conflict with a World Series game.
Right.
So just keep an eye on that. When are the times for that?
Thanks, Darren.
1 p.m. Central, 4:30 Central, for the East and the West semifinals, respectively, next week, November 1st.
Yeah, and we should talk about where we'd rather see the Bombers go, because
I talked about that before you joined, so I'll lay it out and you tell me if you agree. There's 2 teams in the West that scare me, and there's 1 team in the East that scares me. The Alouettes are dangerous. Don't believe for a second what we saw today is what you're going to get next. Like, they rested a ton of guys as well. They scratched Davis Alexander late. They are playing with a lot of momentum. They are probably the hottest team in the CFL right now. I don't care what happened today. Okay, this is where Walby and I really disagree. I don't care what happened today. They're still playing with a lot of momentum. They had really little to play for. They had nothing to play for, right? Yeah, they had nothing to play for. They were going to finish second in the East no matter what. But in the West, the Saskatchewan Roughriders are the most complete team in the CFL, and Nathan Rourke makes the BC Lions dangerous in the postseason. All due respect to Calgary, that's how I see it. Let one of BC or Saskatchewan beat each other, or maybe it's Calgary. But Winnipeg prefers to be in the East. That's how I see it. What say you?
It's a tough one, man. It's a tough one. I haven't decided yet, Darren, to be honest with you.
Thanks, Scott.
Hey, appreciate Westy. Thank you, Scott Westman. What a guy. What a guy. I think you can make an argument for both, okay? The argument I'd make for wanting to go east, like you say, is that this Winnipeg defense, it's like me, I've got a dad bod, I'm 5'6", my beard is scraggly. I'm not sexy, but I get it done, Darren. Right?
Mm-hmm.
I take out the garbage, I do the cat litter, I do the cooking, I do the
You're
grocery
the resident
shopping.
Dad. You are.
I give my wife compliments. She doesn't hate me. Sometimes I sleep on the couch.
You're a sweet guy. You don't sleep on the couch. If you sleep on the couch, it's because you're sawing logs when you're snoring.
Not with my CPAP, buddy. And shout out to Justin Back, who said hi to me at the game. Big fan of the show. Darren, I'm not sexy, but I get it done. Just like the Bombers' defense. They don't have the sacks. They don't have the interceptions, although Tony Jones had a hell of an interception today. But they get it done, and they've stymied the elite quarterbacks in this league all year. You take away Nick Arbuckle in Toronto and Vernon Adams early on in the season with Calgary, they have had the lowest pass yards per completion, so yards per play, per pass, in the CFL. They have clamped down the secondary. Guys like Bo Levi Mitchell, Cody Fajardo, Trevor Harris, the elite quarterbacks in this league have had trouble with this secondary. And Davis Alexander, he hasn't played against this secondary ever. That's why I thought that he would. That's why I picked Montreal to win, and part of my CFL parlay, which is destroyed. That's okay. I get to wear the chain. I thought they'd give Alexander a little bit of time just to get a feel for what Jordan Younger does. Not that Jordan Younger is going to play anything, particularly complicated, but there were guys interviewed this week on the Bombers. Like, this is there's the tarps off, boys. That's where we were sitting. I mean, this is a very complex defense for quarterbacks to read. There's a reason why quarterbacks have the lowest completion percentage against Winnipeg. They do things to take away your first read. They bracket receivers. They drop tons of guys into coverage, right? You don't know what you're getting. So I think there's an argument to be made that that you do want to go to Montreal, because I think you hope that this defense, which has carried this team all year, along with the special teams and Trey Vavel, there's reason to believe that they would stymie Davis Alexander. So the other thing is, and I know the fourth stringer was playing, Darrin, when the Bombers played Montreal in Montreal and beat them 26-13. They performed against that Montreal defense. So, right? And sure, maybe the defense was gassed at the end of the game because, James Morgan kept throwing picks or getting 2 and outs, Darrin. Schnitzy goes hard almost all the way to Brent.
Well, Pat asking, what's up, Pat? Great to see you, my friend.
Patty,
was that Montreal starting O-line? There was a couple guys.
Ventrelli, the right guard, was out, so Gibbon came in, and I think Gibbon got hurt too. I didn't see who came in for Gibbon, but I think it was most of their starting O-line, at least for the first half of the game. But yeah, so like, you saw, in that game, Darrin, if you remember, against Montreal, Brady Oliveira was used heavily in the pass game, right? There were a lot of screens and dumps offs to Brady, which were very effective. And Brady was also effective on the ground. He had 137 yards in that week 12 game in Montreal, and then 73 through the air, right? He was the leading receiver for Winnipeg. Collaros was efficient.
I'll be right back, okay? You
got buddy.
This. 30 seconds.
Collaros was efficient in that game, folks. He had 4 incompletions. 27 of 31 for 263 and a touchdown. No interceptions. That is the pathway for the Bombers to win. And I know everybody's talking about Montreal as the best team in the CFL. Davis Alexander has won 11 of 11 starts. He set a CFL record. He's never lost. But I could see the Bombers going into Montreal and putting up a defensive masterpiece like they have for the last over half of the year. And I could see the Bombers beating the Alouettes. Would it be easy? No. But I think if the Bombers can stop throwing interceptions, they could beat anybody in the league. You may not like how this defense looks.
Couldn't agree more.
But this defense is legit. I would love to tabulate the stats other than yards per play in the pass game against to see how the Bombers defense has played in the last since Labor Day, for example. Remember what they did to Bo Levi Mitchell, folks. The guy had 3 points.
That could be the East Final this year.
Yeah, I think the Bombers can go and beat Montreal. They've won now 12 of the previous 16 games against the Alouettes.
This is a live score, by the way. Lions leading the Riders
6-0 Lions.
6-0 early. Yeah.
Now, let's think about Calgary. So the thing, I think there's a psychological narrative that befits going to Calgary, because if you go into Calgary, it's like 2019 all over again.
They scored on a first play from scrimmage.
Oh my God.
63-yard touchdown in Regina.
Wow.
Let's see if I can find some highlights of that one. Whew.
So there's a lot about the Bombers this year, Darrin. Not everything. That reminds me of 2019, right? A team that has been inconsistent, but maybe pulls it together at the end, particularly in the secondary. And then you go on the road as third place in the West. You go into Calgary, where you're not favored to win. You beat Calgary. Then you go to Mosaic, just like 2019.
Mm-hmm.
You are an underdog to a 13-5 team, and I'm not sure the Riders will be 13-5, but they're the clear class of the West right now, although the Lions are making an argument. Let's say you beat the Riders in Mosaic, which would be insane, right? And then maybe you play the Tiger Cats again in the Grey Cup, and we have their number in the Grey Cup, and it would be at home,
You never know
Darrin.
what's going to happen in the playoffs. You
Dude,
never know.
You and
Do
I
you
have
remember how
talked
everybody
about this.
had the Blue Bombers written off in 2019?
Yeah.
Like Fajardo hits the upright. How did they win that game? How did they go into Calgary and beat them in the semifinal? How did they win at Mosaic against a very strong Rough Riders team? And then I remember the Grey Cup. Like Hamilton was like 12.5-point favorites or something like that in 2019.
Yeah. Yeah.
It like nobody was giving the Blue Bombers a chance. And what happened? Andrew Harris, a pissed off 33, just dominated.
Darrin, can I just throw in a quick anecdote about 2019?
Please do.
It wasn't just Andrew Harris that was pissed off. The whole team was pissed off. I heard this from Brandon Alexander. He's now an ambassador with the team, doing great things, repping the Bombers all over Manitoba, whether it's working with youth in his coaching clinics or just being on CJOB on the pregame. Darrin, like, he told me that it all started at the CFL Awards. Well, you would know this. You were there, right? Apparently, the Tiger Cats cleaned up the CFL. I had forgotten about this. They cleaned up the CFL Awards. Brandon Banks won MOT. Most outstanding. I don't know, man.
Player.
I was distracted by Matt Hyman's
No, 2019.
comment on the chat about
Brandon Banks. Brandon Banks was the MOP.
Brandon Banks wins MOP, and various Ticats won other awards. I think Revenberg won the most outstanding lineman, and then he was owned in the Grey Cup.
Yep.
The Bombers were pissed off because the Tiger Cats were hot dogging it at the awards, kind of rubbing it in. I think they even practiced the victory formation going up to the Grey Cup. I think there was a story about that. Excuse me. And then the Bombers just took over that game from the very beginning. They just punched the Tiger Cats in the mouth, and the Tiger Cats just never were able to get up off the mat. And so you're right, Darrin. Anything can happen. Listen, we've talked about this all year, not to beat a dead horse here. But if Collaros is on his game and he's not throwing interceptions, the ceiling of Collaros isn't as high as it used to be, but it's still pretty high because there were games like Edmonton where they beat them 36-23 in week 4. The game against Hamilton where they won 40-3 and he was dropping dimes. This guy can get it done. The defense is good enough to win. Defense travels on the road. The run game is arguably the best in the CFL. I think you could still easily argue that Brady Oliveira is the best all-around back in the CFL.
O-line needs to play better.
O-line needs to play better. Absolutely.
I said the O-line has to play their best football. They have to find a way to play their best football. And Collaros, I don't want for Zach Collaros to play his best football. He can't change the way he plays. He has to be that gunslinger swag, make the dangerous throw guy. He's got to be. But they have to find a way to do that while not turning the ball over. You can't play risk averse. It's like going into war trying not to get shot. You're going to get shot. You can't do that.
I agree. I think you have to play to win. And I think Zach Collaros is never going to stop being a gunslinger for sure.
Real quickly, Phyllis asking for Bomber fans, who do you need to win the Sask BC game? If BC ties or wins, Winnipeg will cross over. If BC loses, Winnipeg will play in Calgary next week and BC will cross over to the east.
I think they can win with Collaros. I think I saw here on the chat Winnipeg Gordo saying Zach needs to roll out of the pocket. Absolutely. I think Zach plays great when he rolls out of the pocket. He's great throwing the ball on the run. He's very mobile. He can even use his legs. We've seen that a couple times. Think about that touchdown he ran in, the 9-yard touchdown where I think he juked Nick Anderson, who for the linebacker for Edmonton, Darrin, who's one of the best in the league, and scored a touchdown. And then there was that run in the home game against Ottawa where, I don't know, it was like a 16, 17-yard run, which set up the walk-off field goal. So the guy can use his legs. I think there has to be a game plan that sort of protects the O-line, because the O-line is not dominant anymore. So you've got to have guys with extra
I don't even
protection.
think like they're not even good. They're not even good anymore. Like they need to be way better. They have to get to that level of good above average. Winnipeg's defense, Winnipeg's ability to run the football is above average. I would say the defense is bordering on elite. Kolaris, when he doesn't turn the ball over, is elite. Brady's elite. Dembski, if he can get healthy, he's elite. Ontario Wilson, Carrick, everybody. The special teams is elite, 100%. Winnipeg's offense, like the O-line needs to play better. They need to protect Zach so he can be clean. Then they can win. Yeah. Schnitzy, real quickly, before we hear from Terry Wilson, because our good man Zeno, Zachary Nolan, was inside the Blue Bombers locker room. Gotta say, big thanks to our friends at the Silver Heights Restaurant. If you're looking for legendary ribs and steaks in Winnipeg, there's no other place than the Heights in sunny St. James. The Silver Heights Restaurant and Lounge serves up your faves, mouthwatering seafood, hearty Canadian classics, and cozy vibes. Family-run Winnipeg institution since 1957. Dine-in, takeout, delivery. They got free parking, great beer selection, awesome beverages all around in the lounge. It is Winnipeg's original sports bar. You can watch the Jets, the Bombers, NFL, and more on their monster screen and multiple TVs. And then the restaurant side is much more atmospheric for, a quiet dinner with your significant other, your family, what have you. Open late, Silver Heights Restaurant, 2169 Portage Avenue. There's JC, there's Tony, third generation, 1957. Like when the Bombers were dominant and won 4 Grey Cups in 6 appearances over 10 years. 1957, Kenny Plain and the boys. 2169 Portage, Silver Heights Restaurants, just west of Assiniboine Park. Order, book online, and find more at SilverHeightsRestaurant.ca. You tell them the Bonfire Boys sent you. Tradition tastes great at the Heights. Terry Wilson was not outstanding today by any way, shape, or form, but he did have comments after the game. It's been a while since we've heard from this young man. He's going to be the number 2. Sure appears that way going into the playoffs for the Blue Bombers behind Zach Kolaris. So let's hear from Terry Wilson.
So good. I had to get myself rolling a little bit. Definitely some plays I wish I could get back. But, all together, man, defense played a phenomenal game. Got us the ball in, some good territory. Special teams played great, but, overall, I'm going to go back and watch the film and see the things I need to correct and move on from there.
I know it's fresh, but how do you feel you did out there?
Like I said, I did pretty good. I was seeing the field pretty good, seeing my reads pretty good. Like I said, man, it's just a couple plays I wish I could get back. The corner that I threw to Stearns, kind of short-armed it, so that's got away from me a little bit. But like I said, man, that goes along with the game. Just gonna go watch the film and see little things I can correct.
What was it like having to wait so long to finally get so many reps in a game?
I mean, you don't really think about that, man. We have a great group of guys around here, man. A great type of camaraderie around the guys, and you prepare and wait until it's your turn to go out there and execute. So that's what I've been doing, man. Just making sure that I'm prepared and ready to go.
What was it like to see, unfortunately, Chris Streveler go down like that?
It's tough, man. You never want to see anybody go down like that, especially a guy that I spend, most of my time with. It's tough, man, and I'll be praying for him, and he'll be all right. He'll bounce back. He has that warrior determination. It's definitely tough, though.
Last one for me. Obviously, you have a hell of an arm. But what's the one thing that you think you need to get better at?
Man, just getting in the swing of things, man. That's really the first time I was out there in live action. So just trusting myself, relying on what I see, and just executing, man. That's all. At the end of the day, that's all we got to do as a quarterback. The offense moves when the quarterback's playing pretty well. So I'd say that.
I know you can prepare over and over, Terry, but what's it like just to be in the huddle with the crowd and the live bullets sort of flying?
It's nothing like it, man. It's nothing like it. But hey, this is what you ask for, playing the quarterback position. These are the situations that you want to be put in. You're going to get tested out there and see how you react to it. So, like I said, man, preparation is key, man. Preparation, determines how I play. So I take a lot of pride in preparing and just cutting it loose, man. Don't overthink everything and just go out there and play ball.
There were a couple times when you took off, and it seemed that helped with your game too, right?
Yeah,
Maybe talk about that aspect of it.
Yeah, most definitely, man. I've been that way. If I get any pressure, I just try to extend the play. So I felt some pressure, try to get out of the pocket and go get the first down, but that's just a part of my game, man. If pocket's collapsing, I'll get out of the pocket and try to get it first.
I know.
There's Terry Wilson following the Bombers' 19-10 win at home to finish the regular season with 2 straight wins and a little bit of good feeling going into the postseason. Schnitzy, I'm sure Bombers fans don't want to see any more. As much as they've wanted to see Terry Wilson all year, I'm sure they don't want to see him anymore unless he's running short yardage the rest of the way here. But I mean, to that point, Winnipeg can make something happen, but they've got to kind of, trap lightning in a bottle. They're not the first, second, third, or probably even fourth favorite going into the CFL postseason. There's 6 teams going into the postseason. I would say them and BC, them and Calgary, them and Hamilton. Like, I think you could probably argue Winnipeg's the least favorite to win the Grey Cup right now, but it's still possible. People watch the CFL playoffs before, it can happen.
Well, look at the 8-10 Calgary Stampeders, Darrin, with Marcus Crandall, right? 2001. It's happened. How many times have the Argos been 9-9 or 10-8 and won the Grey Cup?
And for those that don't remember what happened in 2001, because we got some young viewers here too. In 2001, the Stampeders eked into the playoffs by beating the Blue Bombers, and the Bombers were then in the East Division, right? They eked into the playoffs. I think the Bombers were resting a lot of guys. They had the MOP that year in Kahari Jones. They had Bobby Gorgeous and Milt Stiegel and Charlie Roberts and Mike Sellers. And that was a heck of a football team, right? Was Sellers there in 2001?
Yep.
Maybe it was later. Anyway.
No, he was there. Sellers was there for sure.
They were a double-digit win team. And what happened? They ended up meeting that Cinderella Calgary Stampeders team in the Grey Cup. And had Winnipeg beat them in the final game of the regular season, they wouldn't have even made the playoffs. And they beat them in the 2001 Grey Cup, the heartbreaker.
Yep.
For Bombers.
27-19. Still remember it.
Yeah.
The look on my dad's face. Oh my God. That was sad to see. that was like, for fans around that time, that 2001 loss was absolutely heartbreaking. They were the clear best team in the league that year, 14-4. I think they went on a 12-game winning streak. They were absolutely dominant. Kahari and Milt in his prime, Charles Roberts, Mike Sellers. It was a gut punch. So yeah, I back to your question about whether we go west or east. I think there's an argument to be made to go either way. Here's where I would, if you held a gun to my head, which I hope you don't, Darrin, you probably don't even own a gun.
Wouldn't do it.
I would say go to Calgary. And this is for a couple of reasons. One, and this is a stat everybody throws around, but it's true. No team has ever crossed over and made the Grey Cup.
Who gives a shit?
Saskatchewan
That
came
doesn't
really
matter.
close.
It's
No, but here,
past
but listen,
performance is no indicator of the future. I'm sorry, like
dude.
that's totally colloquial. It doesn't mean anything.
Okay.
Sorry.
So
I'm so adamant on those things. Like nobody's ever done this thing before that is completely possible. Like it's completely possible.
It's absolutely possible. I'm just saying, is statistically not very likely.
Statistically, it's more likely because it's never happened. It's bound to happen.
Will that happen, or
if you've
will
rolled snake eyes 2 times in a row, what are the chances you're going to do it a third time? Is it more likely you're going to do it a third time in a row? It's less likely.
I think it's fairly difficult, though, to go on the road into a different time zone for 2 games. Saskatchewan came very close.
1 hour time change?
2017.
1 hour?
Listen, nobody's ever done it.
What about Winnipeg going to BC? That's 2 hours.
You're asking a team to go into Montreal and beat a red-hot Alouettes team with a guy who's never lost in Davis Alexander. That's tough, right? And they have a tough defense.
No, it's tough, yeah. But you're talking about like what might happen any year versus this year, Davis Alexander, the Alouettes, you know?
So Calgary, I like Calgary for a couple of reasons. One, Vernon Adams, right? Vernon Adams, you can get great Vernon Adams, like MOP level Vernon Adams, and then you can get garbage Vernon Adams. And if garbage Vernon Adams shows up, very beatable team, okay? I know they have a great run game and a great defense. I don't think their defense is as good as it was when the Bombers played them before. The other thing the Bombers would have going for them is they've been beaten by Calgary 3 times. You're asking Calgary to beat Winnipeg 4 times? I think that's unlikely. Of course it could happen. I think Winnipeg, although they got blown out early in Calgary on the Stampede Bowl and a couple weeks later in Winnipeg, they did go into McMahon and, you know, they had a 63-yarder from Castillo to tie the game, and to take the lead in that game, Darren, and then they lost on a walk-off to Paredes. So they were right in, and they lost by a point. They were right in that game.
You just destroyed your own logic because you just said, what are the chances it happens 4 times in a row?
Yeah.
It's never happened. Shouldn't it be more likely? No, it's less likely.
I think it's tough to beat a team 4 times.
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah.
No kidding.
So I like the Bombers' chances, and I think if they could beat Calgary and McMahon, then you go into Mosaic, and I think you're playing with house money at that point. Nobody would pick the Bombers to beat Calgary. If they pull off that upset, there's no pressure on the Bombers at that point. You go into Mosaic against a team that's won 4 Grey Cups in their history and arguably have had the best regular season in club history.
Yeah.
And they're hosting the West Final. You go in there, you just throw it all on the line, right? You play balls to the wall and you just see what happens. And I think psychologically, Saskatchewan would be tight if that were to happen. They'd be white knuckling that game, not wanting to lose, and I think the Bombers could go in there and play to win. But again, man, the other thing with Sask is that they give up a lot of pass yards, and if Collaros is on point, you saw what he did on Labor Day, Darren.
Mm-hmm.
They could carve up that defense if he gets more time, of course. So I would go West personally. Yeah, I get you, Jeffrey Townend. VA is playing well right now, but keep in mind too, the Bombers got absolutely destroyed by Vernon Adams because of long balls. How many big passing plays did Vernon Adams have against that Bombers secondary, which is not completely transformed, but it's significantly transformed? I mean, Marquise Bridges, who was playing corner, is cut. I think he's on the Lions practice roster now. You had Jamal Parker, who is playing at corner, but he was playing at safety, position he'd never really played. I think Cam Allen has solidified that safety position. You've got now Demario Houston in the mix, who's playing well.
Mm-hmm.
I don't necessarily see Calgary getting a ton of explosion plays against that Bomber defense, which has really done well against opposing quarterbacks, particularly deep balls.
Yeah. Yeah. Jack Sports says, I'm punchy these days. But there was Zach. There with you, Schnitzy.
Of course
take
they
Calgary.
are.
So Jack Sports, I don't know how you like to be referred. I kind of guess with a lot of people, he, she, they. Not that that's a whole thing or what do you call it? A soapbox I stand on in any way, shape, or form. But they say I'm with Zach. I'll take Calgary over Montreal too. It's brutal in Montreal with their ridiculous noisemakers. Well, they don't have those air horns anymore. Montreal's the bigger threat with Alexander. I think Montreal is the bigger threat with Alexander. But if Winnipeg crosses over to the east, two of the three most dangerous teams, at least for my money, would be down to one. Like if Winnipeg stays in the west, you might have to beat, if Winnipeg goes to the east, you got to beat Montreal. They clearly have the upper hand on Hamilton right now. I don't think Hamilton's playing particularly well. But if you go into the west, you got to beat Saskatchewan in Regina. That's going to be real tough. It's Nathan Rourke scares me, man. So let Rourke win today.
Exactly.
Let them figure it out with Saskatchewan, where they are right now. Could be there again in a couple of weeks. I think that's probably why BC's so motivated, right? Because they could have, like they're in Saskatchewan right now, and they could be there in 2 weeks.
Yeah.
So go punch him in the mouth. Hey, how about that? There's the first play from scrimmage, 63-yard touchdown to Eberhardt. Absolutely nuts. Who was it? Aiden Eberhardt, 63-yard touchdown, 24 seconds in. Boom.
Just like the 63-yard run from Michael Chris Ike.
Yeah, you like that one, hey?
Fullback, number 25.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
second-year player, Canadian draft pick. Took the, I think Dwayne Ford talked about it on the broadcast. He took the combine by storm. Do I have it here? When was that, Schnitzy? Third quarter,
combine?
fourth quarter? That run.
Oh, that was in the fourth quarter. I believe with
here we go.
Maybe like 5 minutes left.
Yep, I got it.
I want to see it because I was watching it from section 140. Back running that speed.
I think we were both muted there. So let's rewind it and do it again.
Hey, there's 141. Yeah, nice.
This is where Schnitzy said, "Look at the way he hit that hole." And then
look at the way he hit that
hole.
Like, look at the speed, man.
Yeah,
that's crazy breakaway speed. I mean, you could argue that he's faster than Brady Oliveira.
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
And that's a fullback, man. Mm-hmm. And I would love to, and I'm not just saying this because of recency bias, because we're watching, I think that's the Bombers' longest rush of the season. I'm pretty sure. I'm not just saying that because of this play, Darrin. I've thought for a while that the Bombers maybe should use Michael Chris Ike a little more. People have accused the Bombers' offense of being fairly stagnant, vanilla. There's not a lot of misdirection, maybe, and not a lot of complexity. I think it would be cool to see Michael Chris Ike used not just to block in the run game, but to run himself, maybe to get a screen pass, right? Don't you remember Mike Miller was featured when Matt Nichols was at the controls? Mike Miller got a second down pass at least once a game when Lapo was behind the wheel, Darrin. It's just teams don't expect it. And I would like to see Chris Ike used a little more. That's incredible speed, and that's against most of the Alouettes starters on defense.
I want to speak to this comment from 𝘎𝙤𝙧𝙧𝙧𝙧𝙧. What's going on, Bruce? 𝘎𝙧Boy
Brucey.
Bruce. 𝘎𝙧Boy Bruce says, I want the Stumps. Want the Stampeders for the Bombers to play in the playoffs because we need to beat them, and the Als with Alexander are more dangerous than VA. Maybe that could be the case. Winnipeg just played against Montreal. I think if you had you got to play Saskatchewan. Like if they're in the West, it's Stamps, Riders. If you're in the East, it's Als, Ticats. I see Als, Ticats as an easier path, not because, Alexander's less dangerous than VA. This is my opinion, or the Rough Riders. It's that you just played Montreal, you just beat them. And I think, the pre-scout, because you just played them, you're going to be more prepared for them. Winnipeg played Montreal very well this year. They did very well against Noel Thorpe's defense. So I think that's why they probably prefer to go through the East. Yeah. Schnitzy, we've been going on and on here. We haven't talked about player awards or anything like that, but let's do some rapid fire because this game, I won't say it meant nothing, but you described it as a preseason game. It meant less, I think is maybe fair to say. Let's get into Walby's Warrior, Westwood Wide to the right, and the rest. Of course, we got a super chat. Who's this? Jeffrey Townend. $50 again, Jeffrey.
Whoa, buddy.
Incredibly generous. Thank you. Jeffrey says, do with what you please. Do with what you please, but I suggest a Costco run for some Kirkland tissue you will need. Jeffrey, of course, a unabashed Stampeders fan.
Jeffrey, if the Bombers play in Calgary next week, I'm screw watching it at Silver Heights. I'm coming to Calgary and I'm going to stay at your house.
I might be at the Heights.
I'll pay you rent. I'll pay you a fee.
Yeah. Gordo, I'm looking forward to it, brother. But with $50, like Schnitzy, even after taxes on that $50 and the YouTube tax, you and I can each get like a jumbo pack of tissue.
Or a jumbo pack of those delicious dried mango slices they have at Costco. Went to visit my brother-in-law this year. I ate the entire bag over the course of a weekend. Oh my goodness.
Oh man. Those and they're sugar coated too.
Yeah.
T Will asking, how does Troy Westwood feel about the award being called Wide Right? Well, this was a feature segment we had on TSN Radio when Westy was like part of the show. It's Westwood Wide to the Right. It's the moment of the game we didn't like. Walby's Warrior, that was a CBC one. We then borrowed it at TSN. That's why we do it. Hey, the Happy Honker Award is borrowed, of course, from our friends at CJOB. I don't know if they played that sound effect like we do. Anyway, rapid fire. Walby's Warrior. I already gave mine to Chris Streveler. Who you got?
This may sound funny to people, but I'm actually going to give my Walby's Warrior to Terry Wilson. And it's not like Terry Wilson blew the doors off today. He had 3 interceptable passes, maybe even more, Darrin. He had an efficiency of 41.6. He flashed some wheels, though. He got a touchdown on the ground. He had a couple of nice rushes. He was pretty elusive. He had a 14-yard rush, two rushes of 10-plus yards. And he threw a beautiful corner route, 22-yarder in the first quarter to Jareth Stearns. Unfortunately, then threw a pick, underthrew Stearns, who was wide open on a corner route in the end zone. Little check mark to Jason Hogan, right? Guys open to the end zone. That's good coordinating. And, of course, good execution. But this is a guy, how long has he been with this team? Is this his second year or is this his third year?
I think it's his third.
So this is a guy who's ridden the bench for now 3 years. His only playing time came in the Grey Cup. Right? There's his wheels, that 14-yard run on second down. Big conversion there. Right? This is a guy who people have been clamoring to see all year. A guy they'd like to see instead of Streveler. And he's bided his time. Is he the second coming of Jeff Garcia? Absolutely not. But
Is he going to be
he's
an
biding
NFL
his
Pro
time,
Bowler like
Darren.
Jeff Garcia?
He buys his time. He keeps working. He's got a live arm. Like, you can't argue with the arm talent.
No, it's
And
the decision making.
yeah, maybe the decision making, reading defense, all that stuff, but that stuff comes with reps. But he stuck it out, man. Like, he could have quit. Many backup quarterbacks do, especially if they're third string. Especially if they and many of the fans think, hey, I have every right to be second string, just isn't getting a chance. Then they draft Taylor 𝘎𝙤𝙧𝙀. What does that say about the organization's confidence in you? He sticks around.
Yeah. I
There's
think drafting Taylor 𝘎𝙤𝙧𝙀 had everything to do with there's too much talent here for us to pass.
for sure, Darren. But I think if you're a quarterback who's battling to get the backup role and maybe be the future, you've got to be a little bit disillusioned with that pick. I think any quarterback will. I mean, look at Sam Darnold in Minnesota. He didn't accept their offer because they drafted J.J. McCarthy. He saw the writing on the wall. He wanted to be a bona fide number one, not looking over his shoulder like he is in Seattle. But anyway, I think I give Terry Wilson kudos for sticking around. He gets a shot today to play a whole game. He did a lot of questionable things, but he did a couple of good things, and ultimately, though it's somewhat meaningless, the team gets a win. So that was nice.
And
so
this
shout
is
out
how
to
the teams match up for a potential, if the BC Lions are able to hang on to their, now they're tied 10-10 with the Saskatchewan Roughriders early in the second quarter. But this is how the Bombers measure up against the Montreal Alouettes. Points per game, pretty close. Keep in mind, the Alouettes did not have their starting quarterback for a lot of this season. Points allowed, right on the nose. Offense per game, real close, 335 to 352. Opposing net offense per game, pretty close, within 6 yards, 344 to 350. Big plays. Winnipeg had more big plays. Not surprising, I would say, with the type of quarterbacking, Winnipeg has. And then turnover ratio. Montreal plus 10, Winnipeg minus 13. That's tough. That is tough. We got another thumbs down. That's two thumbs down. Do us a favor out there if you haven't yet. Hit that thumbs up or that thumbs down. It's up to you. I know Schnitzy, you prefer they hit one over the other. I'll just say it's up to them. You want to hit the thumbs up? You want to hit the thumbs down? It's up to you. But just do it. Just hit one of them.
I can't see the thumbs up or thumbs down, but I'm sure the thumbs down occur when you're talking, Darren.
No.
And shout out to Erin. I see her on the chat. She was dressed as a pumpkin. Adorable. Great job, Erin. Section 140. I saw you there. Okay, Carol Barrett.
Find that comment.
We are going to get to Carol Barrett. She is going to get one of my awards. You just wait.
Okay. Your Westwood wide to the right.
Westwood wide to the right.
Oh, you know what? I got a good one. I got to find it, though. It was a tweet the Bombers had today, but it was like the reply. It was really good.
Their social media is right? Pretty good. Schnitzy? Do I have a Westwood wide to the right?
Yeah. Okay, here's mine.
I don't know.
See if I can zoom in on this. This Brett Bale, Bretsky Betts, says in reply to the Bombers selling out 14 straight games, give away 8,000 tickets every game, frauds. And the Bombers reply, love this. Source, trust me, bro. I love that. Of course, the Westwood wide to the right, this guy, Brett Bale, come on. Give the Bombers their flowers. They deserve it.
I saw the CFL attendance Twitter profile tweet that they gave away a bunch of tickets.
They'll give away tickets to what is it? Winsack? Wasack. Thank you.
Yeah.
Amateur sports organization, Indigenous youth, disadvantaged peoples, disadvantaged youth, They've similar to the Winnipeg Sea Bears, another outstanding organization, giving away tickets to displaced families and individuals from the fires in northern Manitoba. Plain and simple, the 14 straight sellouts going back to last year, selling out the entirety of the 2025 season is something I went on about, touched on strongly prior to you joining Schnitzy, and just huge congratulations to the entire Bombers organization, top to bottom, left to right. You can't, like, even with those times they gave away 1,500 tickets or whatever, even with that, to sell out every game for a whole year, huge accomplishment. And
Yeah,
it's a lot of fans from other markets that can't even sell out one game.
It's the only CFL team in history to sell out.
Nope.
No, listen.
Oh.
It's not just selling it out. Other teams have sold out their stadiums.
Riders in 2007.
Yeah, and the Alouettes did for like 10 years. But nobody's ever sold out a stadium of 30,000+ fans in CFL history.
Yeah, what was the capacity at Taylor Field?
It was less than 30,000. My wide to the right, I think I would have given Chase Artopius a few reps. I think the plan going into the game was to give, in this case, third string quarterback Chase Artopius some reps. I think it was a good opportunity to see how he could do. This is like basically a preseason game. I think Streveler's injury changed things because now you have the need to get Terry Wilson as many reps as you can, which I totally get, especially against the same defense he might see next week if, God forbid, something happens to Collaros. Now I'm talking myself out of my wide to the right because I actually get why they kept Wilson in. Actually, let me give my wide. Speaking of quarterbacks, I'll pivot to tell me what you think of this, Darrin, and what you folks think of in the chat. Why wouldn't Montreal give Davis Alexander some reps against this very complex defense that he's never seen before, that he's going to be playing for the first time next week? As I said earlier in the show, Darrin, this is a defense that has stymied Cody Fajardo with the highest completion percentage in the CFL a couple of weeks ago. I think he had for his standards, very low. He stymied Boley by Mitchell, stymied Trevor Harris. I mean, I know it was the beginning of the year. Nathan Rourke didn't play well against this defense. So why wouldn't you give Alexander a little bit of practice?
Yeah, I hear what you're saying. Like, I don't know. You know what? It comes down to the individual and what they want, right? And Davis Alexander's like, you know what? I appreciate the rest. Okay. Like I'm sure he had the headset on. He's watching. He's a very, very good. He's an elite quarterback in the CFL. Does he need, like, again, it's up to him. Does he need that eyes on the field versus bird's eye view above the field? I'm not sure. Just wanted to mention a couple things. I pulled that comment up a second ago about, here it is. Winnipeg versus Sask in the West Final will be sold out because of Bomber fans. The Saskatchewan Roughriders sold out one game this year.
Yeah.
Unless today's sold out. I don't know if today's sold out against the BC Lions.
I don't think it is.
But, and it's 17-10 Riders now, midway through the second quarter. They sold out one game this year, and that was the Labor Day Classic with 5,000, 6,000, 7,000 Bomber fans there. So, I do have to correct you though, Schnitzy. I'm not sure where you heard that 33,000 plus had never been sold out for a full season before, because the Riders did it in 2007, and according to Wikipedia, according to a variety of sources and AI tells me that Taylor Field in 2007 was 33,427.
Really?
Temporary seating increased it to 55,438 for Grey Cup games.
I stand corrected. I thought I saw this on, admittedly on social media, but I thought it was from
Mm,
like the CFL official account. No,
mhm.
no, that's not to say they never whiff, because they whiff quite often.
Yeah.
But
Yeah. Taylor
uh,
Field increased capacity in 1978, 1979, put 7,000 more seats in addition of the upper level. So
huh,
either way, where else would it be? Regina, Winnipeg.
yeah,
And you know what? I had someone on, somebody tweeted at me and they're like, wow, in Winnipeg, the Bombers aren't competing with anybody. Uh, the Winnipeg Sea Bears, who play at the same time as the Bombers, crush records. They get 7, 8, 9, 10,000 people sometimes to games all summer. The Winnipeg Jets are playing right now. They're getting 14,000. They were they were just a shade under 14,000 with capacity being 15 and change. Just a shade under 14,000 yesterday against the lowly Calgary Flames. 8 straight losses. Oof. Um, like you can't tell me Winnipeg, the Blue Bombers have nothing to compete with. I would think this is one of the most competitive sports entertainment dollar markets. Wouldn't you? Like I know
yeah,
like they don't have the Jays or the Raptors. Like it's not a 6 million GTA, 6.5 million population Greater Toronto, right? There's 800,000 people in this city and maybe 900 if you include the area within an hour of the outskirts of the city. Um, I would say Winnipeg's done quite well in packing their buildings. Manitobans love sports. Freaking love it.
yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Uh, okay. Your bonfire burning point.
Well, it's hard to pick one from a sort of meaningless game. Although if BC loses, it's certainly not meaningless, because the Chris Streveler injury, though I don't think impacted the game, it may impact the season, because this is a guy who's your most seasoned backup, who has, despite himself, led the team to wins. He's a seasoned veteran, and if you need him next week, it would have been nice to have a guy with that veteran savvy.
Mm-hmm.
And now, if something happens to Zach, you've got Terry Wilson. But in terms of game, I would say the bonfire burning point for me, Darren, was in the fourth quarter. The Bombers were clinging to a 13-10 lead, and Michael Chris Ike, as you showed the highlight a few minutes ago, bursts through the hole, and I'd love to see the rush from another angle, because just from the side, it didn't look like the hole was very wide, but he found a crease there. I'd love to see it maybe
I'm
from the
showing
end
the,
zone
the
angle
turnover
or
on
overhead or
downs here.
something.
The turnover
But
on downs
Chris,
in the fourth quarter.
but this offense under Terry Wilson wasn't particularly moving the ball. They
Mhm.
weren't particularly efficient. But this was their one big play of the game on offense, and Chris Ike blew it open. Number 25, who was a fullback. I don't know how fast he was running, but it
Well,
looked
he's
faster than many running backs in the
outrunning some
league.
DBs there. We're not outrunning them, running with them.
Yeah,
Ike, Michael Chris Ike can run.
yeah.
Yeah. Uh,
So, longest running play of the season for the Bombers, 63 yards, massive gain down to the Montreal 12-yard line in the red zone. And the
yeah, it was a nice play.
Bombers end up settling for a Sergio Castillo field goal, but it certainly electrified the crowd, and I think that was the burning point for me.
So here's mine. Uh, Final sequence of the second quarter. Winnipeg had 3 shots to the end zone. 3rd and goal, and you could hear people in the press box saying, well, like Mike O'Shea's going to kick a field goal here. right? Go up 9-4. Oh, take the points. Take the points. That's what he said after the game last week. Oh, you've got to take the points. Well, he decided to go for it on 3rd and goal, and they got it. After review, I thought at this juncture of the game, at this juncture of the season, don't play safe, roll the dice, run your short yardage. Hey, there's Terry Wilson. He's going to be running your short yardage next week.
Yeah.
Run your short yardage, go for it on 3rd down. You got nothing to lose. And they got it. Good for them. That was my bonfire burning point. Schnitzy, you got a happy honker. You got to give it to Carol. I think we got to give it to Carol, right?
I have bigger things in mind for Carol, my friend.
Okay.
Yeah. I am not going to settle for a happy honker for Carol. I think she deserves even more.
Good for you.
My happy honker goes to the crowd. As we talked about at the beginning of this episode here, 14th straight sellout. A crisp day and a beautiful fall day, but crisp. There's a lot of other sports this weekend, including 2 Jets games, a Jays game in about 7 minutes. So we better finish up soon because people are going to want to watch that.
Yep.
Even I'm watching baseball, which is saying a lot. So the crowd was really fun today. They were boisterous. And the coolest person in the crowd was my son. Because this kid, every sports event we go to, Darrin, Winnipeg wins. We've seen the Bisons win. We've seen the Jets win. We've seen the Moose win. We've now been to 3 Bomber games together. The Bombers always win. So this guy loves football. He loves live sports. He loves watching sports. He's just the joy of my life, man. I recently enrolled him in hockey. He had his hockey practice today. He scored a goal. He's awesome. And he had so much fun, and it just warms my heart that my little guy loves going to games with me. And it's just a joy. And I saw lots of kids there today enjoying the 2 o'clock matinee. So I just feel incredibly lucky to have that experience with the little guy. I know some of my best memories are with my dad at the game, and I miss him all the time, but certainly having my little guy go with me and have so much fun and enjoy it. And yeah, it's pretty awesome.
That's great. Good for you.
Yeah.
Good for you. That's what it's all about. It's about, family, friends, passing it on and sharing it with the next generation. That's awesome. Good happy honker. Here's mine. I will give it to Carol Barrett, who received the Jane Mobby Tribute Award. The Bombers tweeted out there, a massive part of this organization. There's Carol. Okay, look. Many people in the organization call her Saint Carol. She is not only just an absolute sweetheart and gem of a person, she is incredible at her job. Works in fan services, answers a lot of the calls of people calling in with complaints or compliments or issues or things that they want, figured out. I'm sure Gregory has talked to her lots because he likes to call. But Carol gets my happy honker. She is a truly special person, dear friend of mine, always has a hug for me and a smile, absolute sweetheart of a person. Congratulations to her on receiving the Jane Mobby Tribute Award. That's a league-wide award. I think it was a Calgary Stampeders team employee or volunteer or something like that. I forgive me. I'm not super familiar with Jane Mobby themselves, but Jets Girl says it. We love Carol. Cheers to Carol, says Swish. Everybody, loves her. Wesley Fallis. Carol took care of us when my father passed away. She went out of her way to show us she cares. Like you can't say enough. Like David Asplund. When my stepmom passed, she called me personally and checked in on me. She's the best. Like that's above and beyond the GOAT. No doubt.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Good for them. It warms the heart. I almost get emotional because I know how sweet Carol is, and just hearing those stories, that's amazing. Good for them. Good for her.
Yeah.
Good for the organization. Good for the fans. Okay, game ball Schnitzy, and then I'm gonna go on a rant about so be quick because I have a rant. As far as the CFL player or the team player awards.
Okay, love it.
CFL went out, but you got game balls. Shoot.
Yeah, I have honestly, Darrin. I have one game ball for the first time in the history of Bonfire Sports. Schnitzy has one game ball.
What?
One game ball. And it goes to the GOAT, Carol Barrett, who was the winner of the Jane Mobby Award, Tribute Award, recognized as a highly valued, yet too often unsung current employee at a club or league level. Been with the team for over 20 years, account executive in ticketing and fan services. She herself is a season ticket holder. She's a huge Bombers fan. And I can't say enough about Carol, but I need to be quick here to hear your rants. And I know people want to watch the Jays game, but I have heard from countless people that have remained season ticket holders because of Carol Barrett, because she cares so much. And it's not that she's trying to leverage her personal relationship with fans to get them to stick around. Regardless of whether you're a season ticket holder, she loves everybody. She's such a people person. She deeply cares about everybody she talks to. And it's that family atmosphere that Carol fosters. I know a buddy of mine calls her the Bomber Mom.
Yeah.
Remembers your family members' names, calls you when someone is ill or dies. Happened to me as well. Gives the best hugs. You know, if every CFL team had a Carol Barrett, my goodness, we'd be in good shape. And so
I think the league would be on,
we'd be thriving, man.
NFL.
So
I mean that.
I'm thrilled she got this award, Darrin, but I'm also thrilled, and shout out to the CFL for this, that you had sent me the email from communications from the CFL that they were doing the Coach of the Year award and this award and some other awards that weren't player awards. They were doing them not at the CFL awards. They were doing them in different capacities and announcing the award to Carol live in game at Princess Auto Stadium was super cool. I thought it was great. It was nice to have Carol there on the big screen. And the last thing I'll say about that is, I don't know if you heard Wade Miller give his speech to Carol for the award, but he was getting choked up. I have never heard Wade Miller like that. He was barely holding it together. You could tell how much he values Carol Barrett. Yeah, clone her and send her to the Argos. I'd actually loan her out to the Argos for a couple of years just to help them come back to the fold. Anyway, that's my tribute to Carol. I could go on and on.
Bomber Kitty Aaron says Cindy for the Riders. She's amazing too. She's their Carol. That's awesome. There is no other Carol, but no doubt there are amazing people working for CFL teams and the league across the country. That's awesome, Schnitzy. Well done. Okay. Here are the Winnipeg Blue Bombers Team Award winners. And these will be the nominees for the Blue Bombers going up against the Riders nominees, the Stamps, the Elks, the Lions. And then our ballots are due tomorrow. I have the honor of voting again this year as a member of the Football Reporters of Canada. So there are 4 voters in Winnipeg, as well as the head coaches in each market. 4 voters in each market and the head coach in each market. And here in Winnipeg, I'm one of them. Again, been about 10 years now, I've been doing it. Most outstanding player, Brady Oliveira. Most outstanding Canadian, Brady Oliveira. Most outstanding defensive player, Evan Holm. O-lineman, Stanley Bryant. Special teams and rookie, Trey Vavel. You'll see the asterisk here next to Vavel. That's the unanimous selection. Okay. Vavel, unanimous selection for special teams player and kicker and special teams. What did I say? Special teams player and rookie. Okay. Stanley Bryant, he got my first vote. My secondary vote, which is used to break ties. I picked Kendall Randolph, just edging out Pat Neufeld because he plays tackle. Like I kind of needed something to determine between the two, but those two were kind of neck and neck. This is kind of where it got me. Like Brady, incredibly deserving of this award, right? He was my number 2 for most outstanding Canadian. I had Nick Dembski. And the reason I had Nick Dembski was I thought him and Brady both had outstanding years. I gave it to Nick because as a receiver, you have to go out and earn every opportunity you get with the football. Where Brady, I think at times, and all due respect to Brady and all the running backs in pro football, but the ball's put in their belly. For the most part, they're involved in the receiving game, but the ball's given to them and they run the ball. What Brady does is outstanding. He is deserving of this award. But the reason I had Nick Dembski as my number 1 this year for most outstanding Canadian was that he went out and he was awesome this year. They both were. But Nick had to go out and earn every touch he gets. He has to get open. He has to hope Collaros delivers the ball, etc. Well, not even just Collaros, Chris Streveler. There was changes at quarterback this year. That one doesn't bug me as much as some of the others. Evan Holm, deserving. He's very good. Had an excellent year. Led the team in interceptions. But I wonder if the interceptions are one of the reasons he was number 1 on voters' ballots. My most outstanding defensive player was Tony Jones. He had over 100 tackles. He was consistent throughout the year, stepping in and filling in huge shoes left by future Hall of Famer Adam Bighill. Quarterback of the defense, heart of the defense, involved in every play, over 100 tackles. Like I said, huge contributor all season long was Tony Jones. He was my most outstanding defensive player. And second to him, I had my guy, Dietrich Nichols. I think a reason why Evan Holm gets the ball thrown at him so much, Evan Holm had a whack load of tackles this year. Is that necessarily a good thing for a DB? No. He also had a bunch of picks. He's dangerous. He had no interceptions last year. He had 4 this year. That's a big year. But the reason he gets a lot of that action is because quarterbacks just won't throw at Dietrich. Dietrich made really good plays when the ball was thrown his way this year. Pass breakups, knockdowns, tackles, strips. He was my number 2 for most outstanding defensive player. And that leads into most outstanding player. My most outstanding player was Tony Jones. He was, from start to finish in 2025, Winnipeg's most outstanding player. And my number 2 vote was Trey Vavel. And why was it Trey Vavel? Because Trey Vavel, shattered Albert Johnson III's record for missed field goal return yards. He had 4 return touchdowns this year, 2 on kickoffs, 1 punt return, 1 missed field goal return, 129 yards or something like that. Bombers record. Led the league in return yards. And he won games for the Bombers. Trey Vavel won games, plural, for the Blue Bombers this season. The Bombers would not be in the playoffs if it wasn't for Trey Vavel. He had his troubles early in the year. He fumbled the ball. So the man who is a unanimous selection for most outstanding rookie and unanimous selection for most outstanding special teams player, amongst the 4 FRC voters and the head coach here in Winnipeg, he was my most outstanding player, runner-up to Tony Jones. Tony Jones got snubbed, man. Tony Jones got snubbed. He was frickin', I really want to use that other F word. He was frickin' awesome this season. Give Tony Jones respect and credit for the year he had.
Yeah. Hard to argue. I mean, and look at that interception he had today, Darrin. That was insane.
Well, I'll pull it up.
I honestly think and Evan Holm, give him credit. He had an incredible game as well, actually.
Mm-hmm.
He had that forced fumble, he had a pass knockdown, a couple tackles.
He had a great year.
Evan Holm had a great year.
I'm not mad that he's most outstanding defensive player. I'm not mad.
But I wonder sometimes, Darrin, if it comes down to the sexy plays, he led the team in interceptions with 4. I don't have an opinion on who I would trust you on that, Darrin. I don't know how Evan Holm is ahead of Tony Jones here.
Hi, Leia. How are you?
But I'd have to think about it more. But Tony Jones had some great games this year. Led the team in tackles, middle linebacker. So he is quarterbacking the defense, at least at times, although you could argue Reddick Cramdy probably is pretty involved in that as well. But yeah, I could easily see Tony Jones now. MOP, most outstanding player.
In the league?
I'd have to think about that. What makes you pick Tony Jones over, say, Brady Oliveira or Nick Dembski or even Trey Babel?
Consistency through the year.
Yeah.
Here's the answer. What's the strongest phase of Winnipeg's team?
Yeah.
It's the defense. And without Tony Jones, this defense is nowhere near what they would be. That's the answer. It's the phase. I'll quickly say this. I also believe that defensive players get second billing to offensive players because of sexy stats. We had 1,000 yards. We had 8 touchdowns, and he had 14 touchdowns. When a defensive player is playing at their absolute best? When they got no numbers because they're running away from him or they're throwing away from him. Now, that's not always the case. There's context. You gotta use your eyes, but Pro Football Focus breaks down offensive linemen, it's the things you do away from the ball. One of my favorite books, I'll be honest, I never finished it, but one of my favorite football books, I'll be honest, is it's a book called Take Your Eye Off the Ball. And, normally they say keep your eye on the ball. It's take your eye off the ball. Don't watch the football, watch what's happening elsewhere. And that's why the TV broadcast really peeves me off sometimes, is they focus on the quarterback. All these things are happening around and, you don't really see what's happening downfield. It kind of sucks sometimes. Anyway, real quick, Schnitzy, I apologize. I know you want to go, but we need your we need your rhyme on the way out. But here's head coach Mike O'Shea.
Well, Mike, nice to end the regular season on a win heading into the postseason.
Oh yeah, of course. I mean, it's a good feeling for the guys in the locker room, right? It's flown by. The season is in the rearview mirror already.
Do most seasons fly by, or does this one just feel kind of different?
I'd say as you get older, everything flies by.
Chris Streveler, seeing him go down first quarter like that, just your thoughts, obviously.
Never bet against that guy. Yeah, he's tough, so we'll see.
So how tough was that, though? I mean, he's a guy who came off of a scary injury last year, and we all know what he means to this team, obviously, and you could see it on his face, just how just kind of frustrating is it to see him kind of go through something like that again, maybe.
Yeah, it's a tough game. It can be cruel sometimes, but I'll never doubt his resolve, his determination. Well, we'll see where this goes, but yeah, it stinks. But once again, until I find out whether it really stinks or not, I'm gonna just keep on being positive, thinking about him.
The response you would expect from Mike O'Shea. Never bet against him. He's essentially giving Chris Streveler a metaphorical pat on the back, or a figurative pat on the back by saying, never bet against that guy. It sucks. We'll see. That's how Mike O'Shea puts respect on his players, by saying, I don't care what is likely or unlikely. Don't bet against him. But it sure looks like Chris Streveler is seriously injured and might not play again this year. But anyway, Schnitzy, it's 18-13 Riders at the half. The World Series is underway, game 2, with the Jays hoping to carry some momentum into that game. But look, everybody out there, you've been awesome all year. We're going to keep this thing going. Win or lose next week, we're still going to do pre and post game shows through the Bombers playoff run and the 112th Grey Cup here in Winnipeg. Schnitzy, you're going to join me for the CFL Awards at the RBC Convention Center. We're going to be everywhere all week long with the Grey Cup, whether the Bombers are in it or not. Hopefully they are. But Matthew, thank you. As he says, thank you, Bonfire. See you next week. Yes.
Love that
We'll
guy,
definitely
Matt
see you
Heim.
next week. But on that note, I'll leave final words to you, as I always do.
Well, just before I say my rhyme, I do want to give a shout out, and I'd be curious to hear your thoughts, maybe next week. What you think of most outstanding defensive player and even MOP of the team? What about Riddick Cramdy, man?
MOP?
Cramdy has, if you're going to give it to Jones, then think about Riddick Cramdy. He is maybe the smartest guy on the team. He I think is responsible for a lot of calls on the team. You could argue he's the best Sam linebacker in the CFL right now.
He's up there.
He's up there, man.
Yeah.
If you like PFF stats, he's the best he's the highest rated Sam linebacker in the CFL.
Well, because I think they put Tyrese Beverett as a weak side, and he's kind of a dime. He's kind of a strong side linebacker. Moncrief.
Yeah, Beverett is the highest rated linebacker, but you could argue he's Will. But
but
anyway, I think Riddick Cramdy deserves some love. Definitely. Okay.
Yeah. Well,
thank you everyone for sticking with us all regular season. Can't wait for next week. It's the playoffs, baby.
Right here, baby.
Can't wait. We may be in Montreal. We may be in Calgary. We may be at Silver Heights. Stay tuned.
Well, hey.
It's the playoffs, baby.
Let's go.
So I'll send you guys out on this. Carol Barrett is the absolute GOAT. And it's the defense that has kept this team afloat. Sayonara, everybody.